Okay, real talk. Are you constantly scrambling, trying to figure out what to post on Instagram only to end up posting something random and hoping it somehow brings in sales? I have totally been there. As a busy mom running a business, homeschooling my kids, content planning felt like just one more thing on my plate until I found a system that actually worked. That is why I put together my free 5-day challenge, Plan It, Post It, Profit. In just a few minutes a day, you can learn how to create content with strategy. So you're not just posting to post, but you're actually building momentum and connection that leads to actual sales from your Instagram content without being glued to your phone. And the best part, in just 10 minutes a day for 5 days, you will have an entire month of content planned following my signature framework, the 5 steps to sales on Instagram strategy. So if you're ready to ditch the content overwhelm and have a content plan so you know exactly what to post to get sales, head to the link in the show notes to join Plan It, Post It, Profit. You will be so glad you did. Hey, and welcome back to Mompreneur Mastery. I am your host, Sydney O'Brien, and today's episode, you are going to want to grab a notebook or for real, just open the Notes app in your phone while your kid watches Bluey or something, because I've got AnnMarie Rose on the show. She is the queen of helping service providers scale without burning out. And we are talking all about her go-to strategy that I am now totally in on, paid workshops. If you have ever felt stretched thin, like your business is running you instead of the other way around, or you just want a simpler way to sell your offers, you are going to love this. I actually signed up for her workshop the second we stopped recording. No joke. Let's dive in. Welcome to Mompreneur Mastery, where we are building businesses and packing lunches. And no, we're not doing it all. We're doing what matters. I'm Sydney O'Brien, a certified Instagram strategist, mom of 3, and your no-fluff guide to making more sales on Instagram in the actual margins of your day. I created these strategies while juggling a business, 3 kids under 4, and life with a deployed husband. So if your life feels chaotic, you are not behind. You are exactly who this was made for. Around here, we ditch the hustle culture BS and focus on simple, smart strategy that works. If you are craving clarity, connection, and content that converts without the overwhelm, you are in the right place. Today, I get to talk to AnnMarie, and I'm actually really excited for this conversation because I followed you on Instagram for a while. But before I get into that, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and like your background and what you do?
Yes. So I guess I'll start with now. So I refer to myself as a life-proof business scaling strategist. So my specialty is really when service-based business owners, coaches, consultants, experts are at that point in their business, usually around the 6-figure mark, sometimes multi-6 figures, and they are stretched super thin and they're wanting to still continue to grow their impact, their income, ideally 2 to 4, even 10x. But they know that they can't do that by 2 to 4 or 10xing the amount of work that they're putting in. So I come in, we streamline the business model as a whole by refining their offers, getting rid of what's not working or revamping what's not working, and then really leaning into and refining what is working and perhaps adding in some new things that align very much with the direction that they want to go and the season of life and business that they're in. And then we do all sorts of fabulous things to support those offers being sold out, like refining their brand message, streamlining their marketing and sales systems, and even we get into the behind the scenes of it all. So systems and team that's supporting them. And then of course there is mindset stuff that comes up along the way. So really comprehensive. And I would say in the past year or 2, I've become best known for helping people scale their sales processes using paid workshops. So that is what I do now. It certainly didn't start that way. It started doing a lot of done for you marketing services and realizing there are a lot of business owners out there doing a whole lot of marketing stuff to basically pour gasoline on a fire that is burning them out. So I realized there is a lot more to this that's needed than just marketing if I'm really on a mission to help people build businesses that support their life and that support who they want to be in the world. So over time, it evolved into the business strategy consulting that it is now.
Wow, that sounds like such a comprehensive, like all the different aspects in there, because that's just so important.
They're
the
connected.
Marketing itself, yes, very much so.
Yeah.
And if you focus on just one thing, like neglecting the other things, just add to like stress and chaos and not getting the results you want.
Totally.
I feel like I talk to a lot of people who are in like very similar situations like that.
Right. So you can go deep on your Instagram strategy, but then what if your stuff blows up, but your offers aren't built to support that level of volume, or, you spend all the time on the offers and then you're launching to crickets. Like, it's all interconnected. So what I really try to do with my clients is help them prioritize a couple of the most important things, because we can't just live, I kind of refer to them as like front end and back end initiatives. Front end initiatives being stuff that's getting you out into the world, getting you known, getting you visible, helping you make sales and keep the money and people flowing into the business. And then back end stuff is anything to do with systems, anything to do with team, and even building out new offers. Because obviously the process of building out an offer, unless you're making it public, is not necessarily calling people into that offer. And it's really easy. And I've been in that situation too, where I've focused too heavily on one or the other. I will say for me personally, my tendency is to focus more on the back end, like making sure the offer is incredible and, making sure my clients are super supported. But as business owners, we really do need to focus on both. And especially if we want to scale, for most of us, it's not realistic to have, a CMO and a COO and people really heading up those departments when you're at that below 500K mark. And at least you're not going to have someone who's doing a super high quality job at that point. So we need to be really focused and kind of be able to own those roles, but do it in a way that's not going to burn us out. So that's really where I come in and say, okay, here's the primary focuses we need to have right now. So you don't need to be focused on everything. Most of my clients, that when they come to me, they're working like 12-hour days, 10-hour days, sometimes on nights, weekends, all the things. And we get it quickly to like 4 to 6 hour days and no nights and weekends anymore, because we're really, really focused in what we're doing.
Yeah. Wow. That sounds amazing. That has to make like such a big difference.
Yeah, it's huge. Just the number of wins that I see in our client Slack channel. My bread and butter is my mastermind called Life Proof Legacy. And the wins that are like, my partner and I are taking a 4-day long weekend across the country. And it's amazing because 2 years ago or a year ago, I would have been like cramming all of this stuff to, move my business forward in that time, because I have client calls the rest of the week. But now I like have time to do all those things during the week. So I can take the 4-day weekend, or I could take, the time off. And so that's like super rewarding for me to see.
Yeah, that's amazing, because not only is it like helpful for your business, but you mentioned the burnout and having a personal life too. So your life isn't just completely overrun by your business makes such a great impact.
Exactly. And I was always the person, I know a lot of people listening are moms, are parents, and I had this, I don't know why I had this, but I always knew I wanted to be a mom, but I also knew that business career was very important to me from the time I was really, really young. Like I was 7 years old, and I would imagine in my head when I was going to school that I was going to work for the day. I don't know. I would just like pretend in my head. If some girls dream about their wedding, I was dreaming about my career and what it would look like. And there was always like a husband and kids in the background, but it wasn't like, oh, I just forget them. It was, and I also grew up with a stay-at-home mom who could like at the drop of the hat pick me up from school if I needed to, or kind of, whatever. So I kind of wanted the best of both worlds for myself. I'm very clear with everyone and I have no shame about it that I'm not cut out to be a stay-at-home mom. Bless stay-at-home moms. Like that's seriously such a hard job. Not for me. I love, it is the things that I do in business that make me truly feel like me, but my family life adds such a richness to my life. And so I wanted both. And I knew, because there were back in the day, I mean, I was on, even around 2020, I was on client calls on Wednesdays. My Wednesdays were crazy. I would be on calls from like 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. with one-to-one clients, still doing a little bit of done for you work at that point. I had like an agency model and had started to transition out. And oh my goodness, I knew at that point, I was like, how am I going to have the flexibility for kids that you sometimes need? Because even if you have fabulous childcare, they get sick. Childcare is closed or isn't available for the day, or you just decide you want to have a family day. And so I wanted that flexibility. And so that's when I really knew that I needed to shift my own business model. And that's now what I've been able to help my clients do. Many of them come to me, whether it's they want to spend more time with their kid, they want to plan for a family, they want to be able to care better for aging parents. I have a wide range of ages of my clients, but usually it's, I want to be able to be more present and flexible for my life without having to burn my business to the ground. I want both. And that's such a rewarding part of what I do.
Absolutely. Yeah. I never wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, but I ended up one. But I was like, I need something else. And that's how like my business was born. Yeah. I had 3 kids, and it was very bad timing because I started my business while my husband was deployed, and my kids were 6 months, 2 and 3.
Oh my. Wow, you had a lot going on.
A lot.
Lot
Yeah.
going
And it was
on.
like just after COVID too. It was like horrible timing, but
Bless
I was
you.
like, I need something else in my life, like
Yeah.
outside of
Something for
my
you.
kids. I just, yeah.
Something for you. Yeah. And I think, some people need that, some people don't. And I'm such a proponent of like doing what's right for you in life and in business. So there's like business strategies that I give people, or, when I'm talking to my clients, I actually was chatting with someone yesterday who was like, what's your method for getting people to 30K months? And I'm like, your method. Like there's a bunch, I'm a strategist. So there's 18 million different strategies we could do. It's your way. Same thing with like, so we can determine what's going to be your best way for this season of life. Same thing with what you're pouring the majority of your time into. If you're someone who wants to be with your kids 80% of the time, working 20% of the time, then that's possible to do. What you want is possible. And that's the deeper purpose behind everything I do, is just wanting everyone to know what they want and to know it's possible and to have a path to go get it.
I love that so much because, yeah, that's super important here. Like in our house, we homeschool our kids. So I don't typically have childcare like ever.
Oh my goodness.
They're neurodivergent. So there are days where like they can be independent, and there's other days where they just need a lot of like hands-on support. So like that flexibility is like key.
Yep.
So yes, I love this so much.
Yeah.
And you've been talking a lot on Instagram. I've seen about paid workshops. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So it really was born out of not knowing what else to do to promote my offers. In 2020, I did a lot of paid ads and they were doing okay, but I was mostly breaking even, and you spend a lot up front, and it felt like a big risk every time that I would run paid ads. And nothing against running paid ads. In fact, I've just recently gotten back into running paid ads, and then a bunch of stuff happened with running paid ads in 2021. If anyone's been in the online business world for a while, you might remember that, where it was just really volatile to run paid ads. So I was trying to figure out a more scalable way to just call people into my world, make sales of my higher ticket offers. And also at that time, it was like recently post-COVID. So there were a lot of people who came into the online business space at that time who didn't know what the heck they were doing. And they were charging 10, 15, 20, 30 plus $1,000 for masterminds and coaching programs and all these things. And some of them had big sales teams that were selling people who did not have any business spending 30K on a mastermind. So lots of people were getting burned during that time as well. So trust has fallen and basically continued to stay at that fallen place. So what I found, I just decided to host a paid workshop because I thought it would be fun. I was like, this seems like a fun thing to do, and was kind of trying to reach a new audience. And so I decided to host a paid workshop, and I think we had 30 signups for that one. I think we charged like $97 for it. 30 signups, and then did about, I want to say it was 62,000 in sales on the back end of that paid workshop. And I was like, that was a whole lot easier than what I have been doing, which is I would run ads. Prior to that, I would run ads for like a month and then do a 5-day challenge where I was doing videos every single day, and then like 10 days of follow-up afterwards. It was a lot of work. And this was just like share some stuff on social media, perhaps get a few other people to help share some things on social media, email my, small but mighty email list, host a workshop around a topic that people know they have a problem with that relates to my bigger offer, pitch the bigger offer in a way that is not like sleazy or pushy, and then allow the right people who've, to step in. And because you've given people a quick win during that workshop, the trust is built. Like you don't have to you're going to build trust, because people we know it's one thing to watch 20 of someone's B-roll reels or even their talking head videos. Mine are about as real as they come because I don't filter anything. I don't really script anything, but there's people who can fake that, but it's really tough to fake it for 2 hours straight live. And so when people spend that time with you and they're seeing the dots connect right there in real time around a problem that's been nagging at them for months, sometimes years, and you're helping them solve it right there in real time, it's going to be a natural next step for them to work with you in a deeper way.
I love that idea so much. I have been doing more like in my marketing, pitching like very low ticket things and using that as like an entry point to like get the quick win and trust and stuff. So I can only imagine like the paid workshop where it's like live and you're actually interacting with people, how much more powerful that is.
It absolutely. It gives people, I'm such a fan of anything that has like required engagement as a component to get to become a lead or whatever it is, because it's so easy now. Even if something's $9, $17, $27, and trust me, I have my several other low ticket things that people can get, but it is very easy to buy the thing and let it sit. I mean, I was just thinking about yesterday, course that I bought, even it was 50% off for Black Friday, and it was like $250. And I'm like, I have barely used that. And I've like opened it once. I haven't really built, like, there's not necessarily deeper trust with the course creator, because I bought it because I knew, okay, we might use a resource out of it, but I'm not like, it's not something that I would say I necessarily got like a huge win out of. Now I can always go back and reuse it. And how many of us have bought courses that are $1,000, $2,000 that because it's like totally passive, we just kind of forget about it, where you have this live component of a paid workshop and you show up, you engage. That's like one of the number one things that I talk about with paid workshops, especially versus other types of free trainings and master classes. The show up rates are way higher. Mine are typically, I mean, on the very, very low end, the lowest I've ever had is 55% show up rate. Typically, it's around 80 to 90% show up rate. Whereas if you're doing free trainings, you're looking at closer to like 10 to 15% show up rate. And when, of course, also when people pay, they're much more likely to watch the replay as well. So that engagement's just off the charts compared to pretty much anything else you can offer that's lower ticket.
And I think I feel like you've worked with someone that I like worked with as well. And I met her through like a paid workshop because that like she did from working with you. So
oh, cool.
Worked for me.
Wait, that's awesome.
Caroline. Yeah.
Oh, Caroline Hall?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so awesome. Yeah, she did my program Sell and Scale with Workshops. And then she subsequently did my program Scalable Offer Accelerator, because they go really well together if you want to sell a scalable offer on the back end of a workshop. Those two go really well together. But she's amazing. She's so good at what she does. I adore her. And she's a homeschooling mom like you.
Yeah.
So awesome.
I am in her membership. It's been like a year or something like that. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, I love that. So she hosts a paid workshop. You came into I love hearing this. This is such a cool, like, real-time success story. So fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, paid workshops definitely work. And so I have just really between 2021 and 2024, like mid 2024, pretty much exclusively sold through paid workshops. I mean, I had people who would come in and then, upgrade, and there would be, back end sales and things that happen. But for the most part, the exclusive way that people came into my world was through paid workshops. And still it's my highest lead generation, but also you make sales on the front end, like, which is a really cool thing. One of my clients, she just hosted her first one, and registrations alone, she did $1,100 just from registrations alone, and then 14K sales on the back end from her first workshop. So, I mean, they work really well, even if like you haven't done this strategy before, even if you haven't really hosted a ton of workshops, they just work.
That's amazing. And when you do them like throughout the year, do you do the same topic every time, or like rotate through them, or is it new every time?
Great question. So I've experimented with lots of different topics, and it's easy for me to do because I have a system, right? In fact, I recorded myself yesterday. I'm doing an in-person workshop tonight, which will be super fun. I'm doing it like on behalf of an organization that's here in San Diego. And I followed my same process to create it and got the entire workshop created from start to finish with some slides, with a worksheet in 2 hours. So when you can get it done that fast, you can experiment with some topics, let me tell you. But I will tell you, the thing that's gotten me really known for paid workshops is hosting paid workshops about paid workshops repeatedly. I think I've hosted the workshop, which my next one's coming up April 10th. I've hosted that one this might be my 5th time hosting it over the course of, you know what, I think it's my 4th time hosting it. Yeah. Over the course of like a year and a half, 4th or 5th
Wow.
time. But so what I typically do is I have like 2 signature workshops that I'll do. One is the workshop, one is Ace Your Scalable Offer. And then sometimes if I get inspired, I will host a different one. So at the beginning of the year, it was my own life that inspired me to do it. I found out on January 2nd that I was pregnant. So I was like, oh gosh, my plans for the year, do I need to change them? And I was feeling a little anxious about it. Actually, I was feeling a little anxious about my plans for the year on January 1st and then realized I was pregnant on January 2nd. But on January 1st, I just sort of went through this process with ChatGPT to roadmap out my months for the year. And I kind of already knew what I wanted to accomplish, but I was just feeling like, oh gosh, this feels really big. How am I going to get it all done? And I went through this process with ChatGPT to roadmap it out according to months and like give me a mantra that I can hold throughout the year and all this different stuff to kind of ground me. And then woke up January 2nd, found out I was pregnant, was like, oh, I don't actually have to change anything because this plan that I just worked out was so spacious. And I was like, oh my gosh, everyone needs this approach to planning their year. Because if you can find out that you're going to have a baby in 9 months or 8 months, by the time you find out you're pregnant, and you don't feel, and you're trying to accomplish bigger things than you ever have in business and don't feel like you need to change anything, like everybody needs this plan, because talk about the ultimate curveball.
Seriously.
So I was like, I
Yeah.
was planning on hosting the workshop again in January. And I was like, never mind, team, we're making a pivot. And within 2 weeks, hosted a workshop called Your Life Proof Year and taught that exact process. So sometimes I'll get that creative spark and just decide to host a workshop on a different topic. But I do have those 2 signature ones that I usually host about 1 a quarter.
Okay, yeah, that was going to be my next question. So that's very good to know. How often do you do it?
Yeah, it's a quarter. I've had clients do them every other month. I've had clients do them twice a year. Just really whatever's going to work for your life. And having a baby in
Right.
September, I mean, I'll probably host Your Life Proof Year in like December-ish when I'm kind of back in the swing of things, because it's just a really good one for that time of year anyways. And it's already put together. I don't really have to do much to pull it together. But yeah, I haven't decided if I'm going to do one in Q3 yet.
That's amazing. And you said you've like refined the process for planning it, and you have a tool to help people do that. Is that right?
Yeah, well, I have a number of different tools. So in my program Sell and Scale with workshops, I walk people through from start to finish, everything from what offer to sell in your workshop, what topic to host your workshop about, how to structure every single piece of your workshop, how to promote it effectively, everything, every last little piece, even like the thank you page when someone registers for your workshop, what needs to go on that. Here's an example, here's a template, all the things. And then all the way through to how you're going to pitch your offer. How do you follow up to make sure that people actually follow through and purchase? And how do you keep them in, the people who don't purchase, how do you keep them in your world so that they buy it later on? Because that is a nice benefit of workshops as well, as you build that trust with people. They've already paid you for something. And so they're in your world. How do you keep them engaged so that if they're not ready to become a client in a deeper way right then and there, they are much more likely to down the road. So I walk people through from start to finish, and that's the process that I follow myself when I'm putting together these workshops. So I have like the templates for everything and stuff that really helps with all of that. But I do have a couple like smaller things to help people get started. Like, well, my workshop, the workshop talks about how to structure an effective workshop so that the actual content creation of the workshop is a much lighter lift, because I have a framework for that. And then I have a sold out workshop toolkit, which helps you to nail your workshop topic, and then different ways to position and talk about it and promote it on social media, email, all the places. And that one specifically, I help people leverage AI to do it quickly and easily.
Sounds amazing.
Right, links for your people and discount codes and things like that.
Perfect. Yeah, I would love that. Definitely check those out in the show notes for sure. And then for my audience specifically, are moms juggling like all the things?
Yeah.
Do you have any tips for keeping it like as simple and like doable as possible?
Yes. I mean, I don't want to sound like super marketing-y, but this is truly how I operate, is when you're doing a new strategy, if you really feel like this is a strategy that I feel like could work for me, just invest in the system from someone who's done it before. I do this too. Like when I started running both times I've run ads, there were different ways I want to do it. I just invested in an expert who done it that way because I don't want to have to become the expert at that thing to figure it out. And one of the things I know now from being a mom myself, time and brain power are not infinite resources. I mean, our brain power can kind of recharge the next day, but oh my goodness, especially if you have little ones running around at home. We had my son home with us till he was 14 months. Yeah, 14 months. Day every day. And oh my goodness, I had almost no time for deep work. And when you are doing a new initiative in your business, you need some space for deep work. But I created this particular program after I'd already become a mom and was like, how can I make this as paint by numbers as possible, yet as personalizable as possible, so that people don't actually need a ton of deep work time to get it done. They can just get in, get out. So like, tune into the 6-minute lesson, take the 5-minute action, and then come back the next day, the next lesson in these true pockets of time that we have. So for moms, I would say your greatest leverage point is being able to find someone who's done it before, who can just show you the ropes, walk you through it, and take the pressure off you to figure it all out. That is one of the best pieces of advice I can give. And then I'll give kind of a simpler, kind of bite-sized thing. So if you are someone who you really want to leverage this strategy, but let's say you're thinking to yourself, well, who would sign up for this workshop? Maybe you are newer in your business. Maybe you want to market something that's totally new that your audience isn't familiar with. One of the great things that you can do is find aligned promotion partners who can help get the word out about your workshop. And you may have like a couple business besties who have audiences that are relevant for you. That's key. Like you want them to have an audience that's relevant for you. So I wouldn't go like, I don't know. I just met a guy in a summit who has a mastermind for people who invest in cryptocurrency. I would not go to him to be a promotion partner. That would not make sense for my business, you know? So finding people who have an audience that makes sense for you and asking them, hey, would you be willing to be a promotion partner? Past clients can also be great promotion partners. And that takes in some of the pressure off you to promote heavily. I've done a few workshops in really busy, tough seasons of life where I've done very, very little promotion myself and pretty much exclusively relied on promo partners. And you can incentivize people if you want. I've done it before where people get 50% of the workshop commissions. We're working right now on doing our first official joint venture workshop where like we're just going to promote to that partner's audience exclusively, and they will get 50% of the workshop registration commissions and then 40% on the back end if they're, anyone from their audience joins my program on the back end. So there's lots of ways that you can leverage community and support to take some of the pressure off of you.
That is super smart. This is something I've started doing like just in the last couple months, and it has helped so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really powerful.
Especially incentivizing it for them as well.
Yeah, and that's why I said at the beginning, like if it's your business bestie, like they're probably gonna be happy to share their stories or do a quick post about it or whatever. I have one client who she's in the data and analytics world, and she pretty much she has some really great business besties with very aligned audiences like social media managers, copywriters, things like that. And so she's been able to do great with workshops and she like has a very small audience herself, but do great with workshops because her business besties are like hyping her up, cheering her on, which is like so beautiful to watch. So if you've got people like that in your corner, you probably don't need to like offer a huge incentive for them and be like, don't even worry about it. Just, take me to coffee or whatever, which is fabulous. If you're, branching out from people in your immediate sphere and making those connections and saying, hey, would you want to partner and collaborate on this? It's nice to offer that incentive because they don't have the personal motivation to show up for you in the way that like your bestie would.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And getting those extra eyes on your stuff is always a win.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Partnerships are such a great and underrated way to grow your audience. So many of us are out there posting 9 million reels a day or, showing up on stories a bunch, sending all the emails. But when it comes to getting new eyeballs on your business, partnerships are huge. Huge.
Mm-hmm. Now, if someone is listening to this later and thinking, this sounds really cool, but I don't know if I'm ready, what advice would you have for them?
So this is really just a check kind of situation. Do you have an offer that you want to sell more of, or an offer you would like to bring to the world that you want to see if people are interested in? So this is another kind of secret hack that I love to do with paid workshops. I've had clients do this. Really, any paid workshop can. And I did this the first time I hosted the workshop. It was basically a test to see if I should bring an offer to life around paid workshops. Is use your workshop as a test for a bigger offer you want to bring to life. Like, are people actually interested in that topic? And then you could pre-sell to the back end. So the two criteria are, do you have an offer that you want to sell more of, or an offer that you'd like to bring to life that you kind of want to either, build a wait list for or test out if people are interested in? And then my recommendation is, I wouldn't highly encourage you to run a paid workshop if you haven't booked, your first couple of clients ever. So if you are just thinking about starting a business, unless there's exceptions to every rule. I'll be clear about that. There's exceptions to every rule. If you're someone who's been in the corporate world for 15 years and mastered, I don't know, mid-size marketing team management, and you're clearly an expert at that, you just haven't gone out and done it in your own consulting way, and you want to host a paid workshop on that, and you have a LinkedIn following around that particular topic, then fine, go host a paid workshop. It'd be a great way for you to, get the proof you need to go out on your own. Fine. If you have been a stay-at-home mom and you want to teach embodiment work, and you have done a certification, but you never worked with a paid client and nobody knows you do this, probably not the best time to host a paid workshop. In that instance, I would recommend starting with kind of just your immediate circle of people and doing kind of a small paid beta test with a couple of clients. And then once you've really built up that confidence and your own expertise, your own take on that topic, then paid workshop can be fabulous.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And I love that idea of using it to test out new offer ideas, getting some market research and stuff there. That sounds magical.
And you get paid to do it because people are signing up for your paid workshop. So it's a win-win-win right there.
Absolutely. I'm gonna have to test that out, I think.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I kind of realized with when I hosted Your Life Proof Year. I had something really interesting happen where typically, like I mentioned, my show up rates are 80 to 90%. That one in particular, I had 55% show up rate, which was the lowest I've ever had, but I had the most people pay full price for a workshop that I ever had, and I charged $97 for it. And I had people emailing oh my gosh, this topic's so good. I can't wait to catch the replay. I can't make it live. And what normally happens in other cases is people will say, well, I can't make it live. I really want to make it live, so I'm just not going to register. That told me people are interested enough in that topic and they're motivated enough to consume the on-demand version of it that I could easily turn that into a lower ticket offer. Perhaps even, maybe it could even be built out into something a bit bigger that's more in the up to $500 range or something like that, because people are willing to go through a process like that on their own time, where with other topics, they might not be as willing to do that. So you can get such good data and insights from going through this process, and it's much faster than other promotion and sales mechanisms. Traditional launching now is sometimes a 6-month runway. This is a very, very spacious timeline. People can get their paid workshop out the door in 4 to 6 weeks. So it's quick for you to get the data that you want and for you to see some results.
That's amazing. I'm so excited. I want to try this out now. And you have a free resource that helps people too, though.
I do. Yeah, the workshop game plan generator. Yeah. So it's kind of functions as a quiz. It's 10 questions. And then on the back end, what I do is share a recommended workshop format for you. There's a few different kind of formats that can work really well. So I take into consideration all your personal preferences and where you're on your business, and then give you a personalized recommendation for what workshop format could work well for you, kind of walk through a sample agenda for that type of a workshop, give some basic pricing and promotion recommendations so you have at least a starting point.
Yeah, that sounds amazing and super helpful. So I'm definitely going to put the link for that in the show notes.
Totally.
And then before we go, can you share where people can follow you online?
Yeah, so my favorite place to hang out is absolutely on Instagram. I'm on Threads as well. I'm at Ask AnnMarie Rose, so ASK and then my name. Both places. I'm a little bit on LinkedIn. I've been hanging out there a little bit more. It's still not my most favorite place to hang out yet, but I'm warming up to it. So I'm over there as well, and it's just my name.
Thank you so much. It was really great talking to you. I found this incredibly helpful for myself. Selfishly, I was super excited for this conversation just for me, even outside of, I know my audience will find it valuable.
That's the best part of having a podcast. For the people that you want to know what they do and know more about how they do what they do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of my favorite parts for sure. So thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it.
Of course. So happy to be here and hope everybody finds this valuable. I would love if you want to DM me and let me know like your top takeaway from this, or if you're thinking about hosting a paid workshop, I would love to hear what resonated. So don't be shy. Feel free to reach out. I'm all up in my DMs all the time. So
Perfect. And I'll put your Instagram in the show notes as well so people can do that.
awesome.
Okay, how good was that? If you're feeling fired up to try a paid workshop or want a simpler, more streamlined way to sell, go check out the links in the show notes and seriously, DM AnnMarie your takeaway. She is the real deal and loves connecting. And hey, if this episode gave you an idea or made you feel a little less alone in the struggle, hit follow so you don't miss next week's conversation. Until next time, here is to less stress and more sales. Thanks for hanging out with me on Mompreneur Mastery. If this episode helped you feel a little more clear and a lot more capable, I would love it if you'd hit follow, leave a review, or share it with a fellow mom trying to do it all and realizing she doesn't have to. And hey, if you're feeling fired up, send me a DM on Instagram and tell me the one thing you're going to do differently after listening. I love hearing what is clicking for you. My handle is @socially.yours.strategist. Until next time, here's to less stress, more sales, and building a business that actually works for your life.